Hey guys, um, this is a response video to Soul Fetcher's What is Enlightenment video. Very good, by the way. I really enjoy your videos. Um, I guess this was an appropriate timing because in my own life I've had a couple interesting experiences as of late. Um, so you were talking about enlightenment as being some kind of very natural phenomenon. And I agree wholeheartedly with that sort of approach, because I don't think that there's anything quote unquote supernatural about enlightenment or spiritual experiences. There's something very natural about that experience. There's something that is part of this whole reality that we participate in. It is both a physical thing and a spiritual thing, but the two of them are not somehow incompatible, as is often played out. And as you mentioned, many people often put enlightenment on this pedestal. But I guess one of the things that I've been really uh, picking up on lately has been enlightenment or nirvana or a satori experience is something um, completely within oneself and completely open and available to experiencing. It's not something that happens to you. When it does happen, it's something that is almost coming through you like a wind or a storm, if you will. It's almost as if one is waking up from a dream in which one had bound themselves up in a nightmare, and they just wake up to this grander sort of uh, direct beingness beyond words, and it's not necessarily limited by any kind of conception or point of view. It just is, um, and that is some of the insight that I think I'm picking up on now in Buddhism and in Taoism, and even in Christianity. There is this wordless, nameless isness of it, and that experience of, regardless of anything else, is one of the most transformative things that happen. Um, and you mentioned that in these days, perhaps evolutionarily speaking, to bring this in the words of um, the scientists or people who are more physically oriented, um, our minds and our brains are almost, to a sense, rewiring themselves to be able to not identify so strongly with um, our jumble of thoughts and feelings. There is a deeper layer, so to speak, to us that if we become more familiar with, we begin to identify less with the, the jumble of experiences which we call the self. In other words, who we are is more than our ego, um, but the ego is a part of that. It is brought to life from, you could call it the source, if you wanted, and that source is what almost animates the self to begin with. But if we get lost in the self, like if we get lost in anything and we over-identify with it, we cut ourselves off from so much more potential to grow and transform, and often kind of go through life a little bit lost, a little bit striving, a little bit more confused than we need to. Whereas life could be a very animated, creative, uh, and yes, more peaceful experience. And to bring this into the contemporary discussion, um, what's going on now in the world, it feels like people are at least beginning to recognize that perhaps they identify and narrow themselves too much. They limit their own um, they pretend to, or they create the illusion of, or delusion of this limited self that must be protected. But really, it was never cut off from the source to begin with. So, I don't know, is there a transformation going on right now? I have this intuitive feeling that it certainly is. It certainly is happening in my life and in many people I know. Um, and it doesn't necessarily need words. It's a matter of almost, yeah, rewiring, reorganizing the brain at a physical level, and a level that is your experience and is you. It is identifying with a deeper source of being that has always been there, through beyond time, almost as if, the Satori is, the old ever-present now, or as Gepser says, the ever-present origin, or in pop culture, you know, the power of now, a new earth. All of these things are mentioning this sort of very natural shift in perception of reality as being that which is beyond the self and that which is beyond our self-imposed limitations. And there are so many methods for recognizing naturally our inner state that is already enlightened, as they say, that is already in the source. And that awakening is really a remembrance and then a coming to life of our of our origins. And to me, this is a wonderful interpretation of Jesus's teachings on the nature of the grape and the vine, and how we can lose sight, or if we cut ourselves off, we wither and die. What does that really mean? Does it mean adherence to blind faith of the supernatural? No, it means the source that is already within us. If we lose sight of that, then we will get cut off. We'll get confused. We identify with something that is so small, and feel we need to protect ourselves. It's almost like falling into amnesia in a way. And so, in a certain sense, this profound teaching that has always been here, you know, thousands of years ago, somehow, and for reasons I don't fully understand yet, but I'm very appreciative for, somehow is now being able to be communicated to so many people. And if they can recognize these things within themselves and truly, have a transformative practice by recognizing enlightenment is always already present, always within, um, without complicating it, without escaping into jargon and philosophies, but using those things as an expression of, you know, all that we are, then uh, this is just a wonderful time to be alive, and at the same time, a very dangerous time, because if this is a time of great awakening, as they say, um, it's not a walk in the park. It's not, going to be easy, because we identify with the known, with things we can hold on to, because we forget, we are more than that. Um, and that perhaps is one mistake that makes us suffer more than we need to. But anyway, I don't want to keep going on and repeating. But yeah, thanks for that video, and these are great topics. This is a very interesting discussion, and I hope it reaches more people and helps them too. So thank you for the video.